You're out in the field, of course, covering the OPEC meeting. How big of a topic of discussion is this for all the attendees there?
Well, Scarlett, it definitely was a big topic of discussion for the fact that we were getting the official IPO pricing on the day that OPEC met. And analysts were saying that many people thought that this was going to put pressure on the kingdom to make sure the IPO was successful and also to make sure there weren't any hiccups in Vienna. We did see a bit of a different atmosphere in Vienna. I've been to a lot of OPEC meetings, and really what we saw here was what we think is the Saudis really trying to control the narrative. I was at a hotel last night, and a bunch of ministers came out of Prince Abdulaziz's hotel room, and no comment, very elusive, and you just don't really see that at OPEC meetings. They're always willing to share and discuss some of the proposals on the table. And many say a lot of this has to do with the fact that the IPO was coming out, as well as we have the Saudi budget next week, and they want to really keep the narrative. But what we can say is that this Aramco IPO at the upper end of the range, certainly Mohammed bin Salman and the Prince Abdulaziz here in Vienna, gonna see this as a victory. This is the world's biggest company, the most valuable company, and it's not trading in the NYSE on Wall Street or even in London, but it's trading in Riyadh.
So, Tina, while Annmarie's out there in beautiful Vienna, you're stuck here in New York with us. One thing about this IPO that had some people concerned is the idea when you link it to oil prices. The idea if this were any other just a normal company, you would say, okay, they're just going to pump as much oil as they can, get it out there, make as much money as they can. But obviously, with their role in OPEC and just their role in the global oil markets, they have an incentive also to try to sort of kind of keep a lid on that. How do they balance that?
Yeah, and it's also a state enterprise, right? This is not simply an oil company. This is more or less the economic engine of Saudi Arabia. So you're talking about funding all sorts of government programs beyond what your regular Exxon or Chevron would necessarily do in international markets. But look, I think what's interesting is we've seen this come out. As Annmarie mentioned, it can be viewed as a success. It's obviously a great deal less than what they had initially proposed, which was probably going to be around $100 billion, which is going to make a huge splash. Go in multiple international markets. Instead, they're keeping it close to home. As was mentioned, you know, they're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to control and make sure that this IPO is a success when it begins trading next week.